Story 1. Very accessible food. America wastes a significant amount of food. I have been working in the food industry for most of the time since I started working, and there is so much waste. Story 2. Mobility. Anyone can become disabled at any time, and you do not realize how little you think about moving around until you cannot anymore. Story 3. Food security is a significant issue. I see many people at the food bank where I volunteer who report going days without eating. Story 4. Hot and cold running water in your home and electricity. I never take this for granted. The majority of people on this planet do not have these luxuries. Story 5. I feel that many people take small things for granted. Good health is one of those things. We do not realize how fortunate we are until we feel sick or run down. Additionally, having supportive people around us, such as friends and family, is essential. Not everyone has that support system, and it is easy to forget how important it is until we need them. Let us also remember the basics, such as food, clean water, air, and shelter. We become so accustomed to these comforts that we do not think twice about them. Sometimes, it is those quiet, everyday things that deserve much more gratitude than they receive. It is easy to overlook, but when we truly pause and reflect, we recognize their value. Story 6. Nothing escapes the hedonic treadmill. I provide medical services for free, yet people keep trying to get more and more. When I set a limit, they become furious, as if I have never done anything for them at all. No matter what I do, the goalposts shift instantly. Story 7. Their health is a blessing that is often only recognized when long-term sickness or disability occurs. Story 8. Shelter, clean water, safe food, warm heating, and air conditioning are essentials that many people often take for granted. It is only when we learn about the struggles of others that we begin to appreciate these basic needs. Story 9. Being able to hear and see is a precious gift. I cannot imagine not being able to see my sister grow older or hear her voice again, or even being unable to speak. Story 10. Well, judging by the number of people on here and Reddit who express thoughts of wanting to die or considering self-harm, I would say life is precious. Your mother risked her life giving birth to you. That's what my mom told me. You are closer to death when you give birth than at any other time. Story 11. That safe water, both hot and cold, comes straight from the taps in our homes. I am grateful for it. Sometimes, I stand and watch it in awe. Imagine how difficult life would be without it. Story 12. Literally food, shelter, and safe sanitation. When you don't have those things, it is eye-opening. I have lost everything. I am immensely grateful to those who helped me. We do not appreciate each other enough. None of us are superior. We all have differences, and that is a good thing. Story 13. Democracy and other freedoms have been fought for by generations who sacrificed their lives to ensure that future generations would not live under tyranny. Yet, today, some individuals willingly vote for oppressive leaders and gladly relinquish their freedoms. Story 14. The ability to be mobile is essential. My mother recently lost her independence, and it made me realize how important it is to move our bodies on our own. Story 15. As recently as the 1870s, surgeons didn't wash their hands before surgery because they didn't understand germ theory. Imagine all the deaths, illnesses, agony, and human suffering that could have been prevented by clean hands. Story 16. The ability to fall asleep when desired is a crucial aspect of well-being. As a lifelong insomniac, you may struggle to understand what life is like without this fundamental ability. Story 17. Water, sanitation services, and electricity. I didn't think about these much until I visited a developing country. Story 18. A family that loves them seeks love elsewhere, accumulating many regrets. They realize this too late when they lose most of their valuable family time. Story 19. Blood. Our blood is the rarest of all in the universe. It is the only thing that cannot be fully replicated by science. Story 20. The library. I have had a library card for years, but I just discovered there are many free resources for learning and streaming. I can access LinkedIn Learning for free. I was about to pay for it, I am glad I am saving $230 per year on the platform, and there is so much more available. Story 21. Father and mother. Having parents who are honorable and who raised and educated you is a great blessing. It is essential to feel gratitude because having good parents is very important for a person's development in life. Story 22. Not necessarily being born to ultra-wealthy parents, but having parents who will keep your bedroom as your bedroom when you move out. If things don't work out in the world, you can always go back to them, get yourself together, and start over. Some people's parents immediately break up, divorce, or move to another country or to a smaller, more affordable place just for themselves right after their kids move out. Story 23. That someone hasn't killed them yet. There are too many foolish people in the world, and not enough who are grateful to still be alive. Story 24. Being healthy, waking up every day breathing, with all your limbs and organs working, lying in a warm bed, and hopefully having food in your kitchen is essential. Having a kitchen and a place to live contributes to a fulfilling life. Freedom in Western countries allows individuals to live without persecution, enabling them to enjoy a fulfilling and peaceful existence. Story 25. Not being in pain. Chronic pain is associated with lower levels of happiness than almost any other disorder. For example, among paraplegic individuals in wheelchairs, the top priority they want addressed is sexual function, followed by chronic pain, with the desire to walk coming in third. Additionally, healthy sexual function is often undervalued. Story 26. Having more possessions, more freedom, more health and access to healthcare, and simply more than most of the world. Quit complaining about inconveniences sometimes. Story 27. Having good health and the ability to understand school or new information easily, without any learning disabilities. Having a safe place to live, even if it is not a traditional house. Living in a country where you can express criticism towards our Prime Minister, even though I personally would not. Story 28. Their job. Does your job feel unsatisfactory? Well, it's paying your bills and you can find another one. So not changing jobs is your choice. Can't find another job? Again, that is not the fault of your current position. After being unemployed for most of a year, I am truly grateful to have my job. Story 29. Pain-free joints. I'm sure people with arthritis can understand. When your joints are in a bad state, you realize how much people take their joints for granted. Standing hurts. Sitting hurts. Laying down hurts. Carrying things hurts. Moving hurts. Not moving hurts. Everything hurts. Story 30. Being able to talk is essential. Imagine if we couldn't communicate, we would not know what others need or vice versa. Story 31. If you are in good health, trust me, the moment something breaks in your body or you experience severe migraines, you will envy those who have great health. Story 32. We live in the best time in the history of humanity to be alive. On average, we live twice as long as people did a few hundred years ago. Although we have problems, you typically do not have to worry about violence and crime every day. Story 33. Grocery stores. The ability to walk in and purchase almost any food we desire is quite remarkable. Story 34. Right now, I have a steady income and job. I recently fumbled an interview after searching for an information technology or cybersecurity job for almost 2 years. It's been rough. Aside from that, I have a supportive family and I am living stably, with food in the fridge, a roof over my head, and basic necessities. Story 35. Not everyone can form deep connections easily, and some people have genuine love to give. However, many take their partners for granted, as if finding a partner is a natural part of adulthood, much like growing facial hair. Some individuals remain in relationships with toxic partners or those they do not love because they cannot bear the idea of being alone. Story 36. Not being in pain or discomfort for any reason is something you may not fully appreciate until you experience suffering in either form. Story 37. Having free healthcare is incredible. My Lyme disease medication in the United States was $275 for one pill. It's only £9 in the United Kingdom. I went to accident and emergency for third-degree burns and paid nothing. That would cost about $7,000 in the United States. I don't have to worry now that I've moved. Story 38. Cheesy as it may sound, please stop fighting with each other over politics and cutting people out of your lives for small disagreements. Story 39. Fresh water, walking, breathing, having 3 meals a day, a roof over their heads, friends, family, love, and freedom. Story 40. In my country, free healthcare is available. As a former worker in the home care department, I encountered some individuals who were extremely rude and expected us to give our all, believing that yelling was acceptable. I was there to assist them, but being yelled at for trivial matters was one of the most ungrateful experiences I have ever had. Story 41. Reddit users or bots are trying to build karma on new accounts with very generalized posts. Story 42. Taking advantage of feeling normal is essential. When that moment disappears, it can feel hopeless, as if you'll never return to those moments of normalcy. Story 43. We are the only planet known to sustain life. Our entire existence is a miracle. Story 44. This is an interesting question because many people tend to refer to modern luxuries. However, neurochemistry is quite intriguing. Our brains reward us for overcoming difficulties, especially those that involve physical effort. Perhaps we shouldn't be so grateful for modern luxuries when considering the increasing rates of mental illness, particularly depression and anxiety. We are simply not evolutionarily programmed to have food just a few feet away from us in a refrigerator and have constant access to everything we need. In fact, we often have to artificially add difficulty by finding the motivation to go to the gym, driven by the threat of not living far past our biological limits. Our ancestors had no issues with motivation when it was a matter of survival. We often assume these challenges made life miserable, but our understanding of neurochemistry suggests otherwise. What mattered most was having people around us. That is how we are built. In my opinion, people should be most grateful for those around them. In this age of increasing individualism, we are becoming miserable despite having a refrigerator right there. Have you ever visited a poor village with little infrastructure and been amazed by the joyfulness of the people there? Story 45. Being able to see and hear is a blessing. I previously went blind in my right eye for nearly 6 months. I thought I had lost it forever, but I recovered, and I am very grateful. Story 46. I am grateful that Canadians have not sent cruise missiles over the border, even though it may be appropriate at this time. Story 47. Not having an addiction is important, whether it involves nicotine, alcohol, heroin, methamphetamine, pornography, or anything else. A true addiction will at best impede your life and at worst destroy it. To those who do struggle with addiction, not having one can seem like living life on easy mode. Story 48. The variety of food and drink available is vast. My grandparents ate the same 4 or 5 meals spread over a week for decades because that was genuinely all they could afford. They also had to deal with rationing in their youth. People have no idea how good things are in comparison. Story 49. I know there are some bad methods out there, but many people do not understand that they had parents who cared enough to enforce rules when they were younger. These parents did not allow them to stay out late, not because they wanted to restrict their fun, but because they cared enough to teach them boundaries. Without discipline, children might think it is acceptable to behave poorly. Parents aim to raise children who respect others, do not overindulge when visiting friends, and treat people with kindness. Many teenagers fail to realize how important this is. Story 50. Good health is the ability to move, think, and live without pain, something we often take for granted. Story 51. How fortunate the oligarchs are that we, the working class, do not take up arms against them more frequently and generally respect the rule of law. Story 52. Their health, even the small things like a good night's sleep or being able to walk around without pain, is important. The people around them, those who support them even when things aren't perfect, also play a significant role. Story 53. Health, mobility, strength, and sanity are highly enviable qualities for those who have lost them. Story 54. Their loved ones. My dad died in October, and it's crazy how many little things I miss that I never would have thought of before, or different thoughts I have that I never did before. Who cares if it wasn't a good picture? Why did I delete it? It was a good memory of him. I always thought I was a person who was grateful and appreciative, but it was on a different level when he passed. You get so used to someone being around that you don't realize everything they do until they are gone. Story 55. Hot water. I just came out of Cyclone Alfred, where I had to wash with cold water from a bucket because we lost power for a few days. You never appreciate hot water until it's gone. Story 56. Everything. People take their lives of comfort, health, convenience, and constant entertainment for granted. Story 57. Honestly, clean water is essential. Many people take it for granted, but millions around the world do not have easy access to it. We turn on a tap without thinking. It's a luxury we should appreciate more. Story 58. I yearn for the day when everything is taken care of, and I can relax without anything urgent happening. Story 59. Health and the ability to exercise and participate in various sports are important. Being able to enjoy a wide range of foods and to walk freely are also significant. Additionally, witnessing my parents aging and struggling with daily activities has profoundly impacted me. Story 60. I almost lost my right eye last year in an accident and couldn't see out of it for about 2 weeks. Learning without vision on my right side was challenging. It made me eternally grateful to heal and regain sight in both of my eyes. Story 61. Being able to eat 3 meals a day, have fresh water from a tap, and enjoy a roof over your head is important. People always want more. That's why I believe chasing money is not healthy. Story 62. Being dry is truly amazing, especially after being in wet clothes, shoes, or undergarments for an extended period. It doesn't matter if the moisture comes from sweat, the weather, or another source. The discomfort is the same. When I would finally change into dry scrubs at work after being wet for over 4 hours, it felt like heaven to wear that scratchy fabric. Even if it lasted only 10 minutes before I got wet again during my 8-hour shift, the relief was incredible. Whenever I reminisce about my months at work, soaked all day long, I feel immensely grateful for the simple comfort of being dry. Story 63. Ability to breathe fresh air. Visiting Asia, I never thought that breathing air with an air quality index below 300 would be a luxury. Story 64. Not having worms is uncommon. Most people throughout history have had, and many today still have, worms inside them. Worms have been part of human existence for a long time. Story 65. Clean, fresh water and plumbing are essential. Over 1 billion people lack access to clean drinking water or a functioning toilet. Story 66. Their health is often taken for granted. Many people do not believe they will encounter health problems or get into an accident, but it happens to numerous individuals. I went out with a friend today who was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He is 28 years old and will now have to follow a strict diet for the rest of his life. Story 67. No matter how much you try to make people happy, they always want more. I guess it is just human nature. Story 68. The basics: a roof, food, a shower, and having someone who loves you, even if it's just one person or an animal. We often complain about many things without realizing how small our problems really are. Story 69. How good the current societal system is. People become accustomed to the way things are. They take it for granted and become dissatisfied with what they have. They start desiring significant changes. The reality is that society is structured very carefully, and we are combating disorder which would revert us to complete chaos. We need to make substantial changes, but they should occur gradually with small, predictable adjustments. A complete, random overhaul is like tossing the pieces of a Scrabble board and expecting them to fall in a way that scores you more points than you had from regular play. Story 70. It may sound cheesy, but family is important. I often find myself not expressing enough gratitude for them. My brother passed away in January, which made me realize how little time we spent together. The hardest part is that I probably would not have seen him during his planned visit. I would give anything to have him here now. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.